to another Buffalo Philharmonic concert. Glad you're here for a very beautiful and unusual program. 4 pieces that might be new discoveries for you. In fact, I am conducting 2 of them for the very first time, to my delight. Starting with Ellen Zwillich. Ellen was born in 1939 in Miami. She's an astonishing American composer, the first woman to win the Pulitzer Prize in composition. She began composing as a child, and she also studied piano and was a wonderful violinist, and she plays trumpet. And Ellen and I have been friends for a long time. She is a fantastic and exuberant person, and as a violinist, she told me that she especially loves writing for the string section. She loves that sonority, the character, the expressiveness of the string section. And you'll hear that tonight because we're going to play her prologue and variations. It's an intense and very remarkable piece. The prologue presents a certain amount of musical material. It's almost as if Ellen is introducing you to the characters of a play. And then she takes that material to create variations in very different tempos, in different moods, using that material. The string writing is very challenging and very powerful. Some of you might remember that Ellen Zwillich wrote a great piece for the Buffalo Philharmonic more than 20 years ago. She wrote a trumpet concerto for Doc Severinsen. I had the pleasure of conducting it in different orchestras at that point, but it was born right here in Buffalo, and I'm so glad that she did that. It's an amazing work, and it belongs to the Buffalo Philharmonic. Joseph Bologне, Chevalier de Saint-Georges, a name that most of us had never heard of. But he was widely regarded as the most accomplished man of his age. Not only was he among the most important musicians in Paris during the pre-revolutionary period, but he was an extraordinary athlete and the greatest fencer of his time. Bologna was born in Guadeloupe, in the Antilles Islands in the Caribbean. His father was a French plantation owner, and his mother was a slave from Senegal. At a very early age, Joseph was taken back to Paris by his father and raised as a gentleman. He became such an extraordinary fencer that he was called the God of Arms. Because of his accomplishments, he was invited to join a very elite group of the king's bodyguards, the Gendarmes du Roi. And because of that, he was awarded the title of Chevalier de Saint-Georges, meaning Knight of St. George. He was a great runner, a skater, a crack marksman, a horseback rider, and a great swimmer. It was said that he could swim across the Seine and back with one arm tied behind his back. But today, we mostly know him as one of the very finest musicians in 18th century Paris. Joseph's first violin teacher was actually the plantation manager in Antilles in Guadeloupe. And he learned so quickly that he astonished everyone. In Europe, then, he started to study with the great Jean-Marie Leclerc, and again, his development was extraordinary. He was called a genius child, or a rival to the god of music. Joseph was an incredible violin virtuoso, a composer, a conductor, a phenomenally talented man. But it is astonishing that in the face of the great prejudice in that place and at that time, that a mixed-race person should be celebrated as a star in so many ways. That shows us how extraordinary Joseph Bologne was. We play tonight his 9th violin concerto, which he wrote for himself, and it's going to be played by a wonderful friend of the Buffalo Philharmonic, the great violinist Randall Goosby. Debussy, Danse sacrée et profane. For harp and strings, this gives us the chance to feature our brilliant principal harpist, Madeline Olson. The title of the work translates a bit differently in English. It is a pair of dances, one sacred and one sensual. Debussy as a composer was a world unto himself. No one really led to his unique style, and no one truly followed him. No composer has actually thought of rhythm, melody, and harmony in the way that Debussy did. He freed music from structural and rhythmic constraints, concentrating on color and atmosphere. His music absolutely floats. Debussy did not write a piece that can properly be called a concerto. This beautiful work is small scale, featuring the harp in 2 dances that are connected into a single movement. The first dance conjures up an atmosphere of ancient spirituality. It's solemn, poised, and almost medieval in sound. The second dance is more animated and rhythmic, alluring and lush. The work was written in 1904 on a commission from the Pleyel Company, famous piano makers for centuries, but they also made harps, and they had just created a new and brilliant model of the harp that they wanted to introduce to the world. What better composer to showcase the harp than Debussy? And what more wonderful soloist to play it than our own Madeline Olson? We're ending the concert tonight with a symphony of Mozart, but one that might be new to many of you. Most of us are more familiar with the symphonies he wrote at the end of his life, his great G minor symphony and the Jupiter Symphony and the Prague Symphony. But Mozart had been composing since childhood. And an amazing fact is that between the ages of 16 and 18, Mozart composed over 1/3 of his complete symphonic output. It was a very fertile and deeply inspired time for him. And from that time came one of these jewels, his 29th Symphony in A major. Leopold Mozart had just taken his son to Vienna for a visit, because Salzburg, their home, was very provincial, and Leopold wanted Mozart to come in contact with the classical style as it was developing in Vienna, in Haydn's great string quartets and symphonies. Mozart went, absorbed everything, and went back to Salzburg filled with new ideas from Vienna. He began to write symphonies with 4 movements, which was a new style, and he was using, again, the new form of the sonata allegro, which was to become the basis of symphonic structure. The symphony in A major shows this new maturity and depth. It's a piece filled with power on one hand, but also grace, romantic intensity, and also the most beautiful charm and lightness. It's scored very modestly, strings and only 2 oboes and 2 horns, but it is big in personality and heart, and filled with the wonderful sense of being 18 years old. If it is a new discovery for some of you, we hope that you will love it as much as we do.